The question I have is about contrast.
Yes?
So, as I am manifesting a lot of amazing things in my life, I'm seeing that there's a little bit of confusion that I just like some explanation on. I see that some of the contrast is coming within me, like limitations that I have that I need to release, and some that comes from a higher power, like something above me. For example, I'll just give an example so I clarify what I mean. Like, for example, in investments, let's say real estate investments. If I want to become a good investor and I have certain things that within my negative thoughts that I can release within me, if let's say there's some kind of a belief that I can be a good investor, and then I release that and I focus on the positive and I can focus on what I can do and how I can manifest it, versus something that comes from outside of me. Let's say I clean my vortex, or I clean my thoughts in 2006 before the market crashed, right? And then I wanted to go into investment. There's another energy that took the market down. Whereas if I would have done the same thing in 2012, it would have been a lot easier for me to become a good investor, because there's a power above that.
We understand what you're trying to say, but these things are always true. The resistance is always your own. Anything that negatively affects you is about your own resistance. So let's just start there. And we know it's hard to hear, and it's sort of the opposite of what you were demonstrating in your example, but we're going to explain it in a way that you'll be able to hear us clearly. Let's start with this statement. There are always those who thrive in hard times, and there are always those who suffer in good times. So the time and what's going on is not the power that is affecting all, because all are not being affected the same way. Yesterday we offered a statement that things are not necessarily even. Everyone doesn't have exactly the same experience, but things are always fair, because what happens to anyone is a vibrational match to what they've got going on vibrationally. Here's another statement that will help you along the way in this. As you've lived life, you've put requests in your vortex, and one of them is you want to be a really intuitive, inspired, effective investor. So that's in your vortex, and that's where your inner being is, and that's what your inner being knows, and that's how it is as far as your inner being is concerned. So your inner being is always calling you from where you are to where you want to be. Your inner being knows what the path of least resistance is from where you are, not meaning where you are in the market, not meaning where you are financially, not meaning where you are in terms of your manifestations, not only meaning that, but where you are vibrationally in terms of where you are really wanting to be in order to have the outcome that you are asking for. Your inner being knows all of that. Your inner being knows what the path of least resistance is. And we want to add to this conversation the resistance on your path. You have put it there. It's resistance that you've put there, not resistance that the market put there, not resistance that anybody else has put there. The resistance on your path is the resistance that you have put there. But your inner being is not blaming you for your resistance. Your inner being is just knowing where it is and calling you around it and calling you around it and calling you around it, calling you to where you want to be. And sometimes, in fact, always, since words don't teach and life experience does, you have experiences that are different than really the outcome that you want, because you've got the resistance that won't let you have an experience other than that, but still you are moving toward what you want. Things are always working out for you. So if you can internalize that things are always working out for you, that there's never some force, even if you want to call it economics, there's never some force, even if you want to call it somebody else that has a different intention, there's never any force that ever works against you other than your own thought that contradicts your own desire. And that's hard to hear, we know, because the first thing that people say to us almost in the beginning, as we are beginning to teach them that they create their own reality, is, no, Abraham, that can't be true, because this happened to me and I didn't want it. And I would not have done that to myself. And we say, we didn't say you did it deliberately, but we do always say you did it, because nothing comes to you that you are not a vibrational match to. Now consider this important piece that we have discovered here and laid in a very strong way together today, that your vantage point has everything to do with how anything feels. We've talked about the difference between compassion and empathy as it regards another person. And you've been following that conversation, yes? Mm-hmm. What about compassion for the market rather than empathy? What about truly understanding what's in your vortex and holding that thought rather than empathizing with the reality that seems to have been showing itself to you? Were you able to make that bridge? Were you able to make that jump? Compassion is staying here no matter what. Staying here emotionally. Staying here attitudinally. Staying here, not vacillating with the market, not vacillating with the others who are having hard times, but knowing that things are working out for you, knowing that you're being guided along your path of least resistance, and knowing that your resistance is falling by the wayside, you see.
So, as one being, I have certain desires. Is it also true that Source also has certain desires? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how would I align myself with the alignment of the Source? Like, let's say, because sometimes it just seems like, yes, you can achieve this goal, but you're swimming against the current.
Source is never a current against you, ever. What your question is, so I want to do well in the market, but what if my Source wants me to be a priest?
No, it's about timing. It's about timing, as I mentioned, like 2006.
Timing is about alignment.
Right.
Timing is about your own alignment. So when you're in alignment, you have great timing. You know when to buy, you know when to sell.
Correct.
You
so
know
you're
when
saying
to
that
hold
comes
them,
from
you know
me.
when to fold.
It's not. That's right.
You know when to walk
hold
away.
them and fold them. Yep.
You know when to run.
Okay. And how do I measure the contrast? Like you gave an example about the train, right? You said you put one engine on this side and the other on this side, and it's not going to go anywhere, right? So let's say if I want to travel to this direction, right, and the contrast is on this side with, let's say, how do I know if it's got 3 engines on this side so I know to stick 6 engines on this side? I don't know. Like, how would I measure the contrast?
Do you know the difference between frustration and happiness? Then you know. Do you know the difference between feeling like you've got your feet stuck in the mud and feeling like you're soaring? Then you know. Do you know the difference between clarity and confusion? Then you know. Confusion means resistance. Clarity means no resistance active on this subject upon which I'm focused. And after a while, you can have a handful of subjects where you only have clarity, and if you will just focus on those subjects, then the resistance on the other things will just dissipate and become non-existent as far as you are concerned. The world can be worrying about it. The marketeers can be worried about it. The talking heads can be worried about it. The headlines can be worried about it, and therefore affecting their experience. But you will be moving in the market and have timing that will serve you.